listening to Superpower Creatives on the Superpower Up podcast. The show that sparks the superpowers of musicians and artists to ignite change.
All the little men, will they get the chance to come back?
Hello, this is David Delmar, your host of Superpower Creatives, and you're listening to our episode, Conscience Expressed in Music. I believe everyone is a creator, and it's this inherent birthright that's the source of our superpowers. Stepping into this personal authority is scary, though. This show celebrates creatives that stay true to who they really are, making a living using their creative superpowers. The stories they share will excite and inspire listeners to do the same, making positive change in the world. It's exciting to introduce our guest for today's show. He's a musician's musician by the signatory way he writes, produces, and delivers his captivating kind of sound that grabs your attention and keeps it with ease. Born in San Antonio, Texas, Jeremy Parsons grew up soaking in the sounds of Texas music in the dance halls of the Lone Star State. Always a fan of music, it wasn't until Jason's later high school years that he discovered his knack or his calling for it. A person whose passions are his driving force taught himself to play guitar, eventually leading to him writing and performing the kind of music that's mesmerizing audiences in the present day. Over the past decade, Jeremy has played all over the U.S. and in Europe, including numerous venues in Texas. Pulling from the example of Texas performance artist, Jeremy loves to interact with his audience. He captivates the crowd with his genuine personality, unique humor, and heartfelt love of his occupation. Jeremy draws from his personal experiences to create songs that are keenly perceptive and meaningful. His current single, Burn This House Down, paints a poignant picture of heartbreak and acceptance that still remains relatable. This song will stick with you long after your first listen, that's for sure. Jeremy, hello. Man, thank you so much for being here today.
Heck yeah, thank you so much for having me. What a killer intro. I hope I can live up to it.
Oh, I know you. I know you will. And well, your work inspired that intro, so thank you for that. I love having I just love having talented people like yourself on the show, and I really appreciate your artistry and how you use your music as a powerful tool to express your true self and help audiences creatively learn new perspectives on life they can hold on to through the music that they receive from you. So thank you for showing up in that way in the world, man.
Hey, thank you for picking up on that, man. I don't know where or who I would be without music. It's a very powerful tool, I think, as far as that goes, and it means a lot to hear you and other folks connect and say things like that. It really does. It means the world.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's certainly received well on this side for sure, man. Well, today we're talking about our show, Conscience Expressed in Music. For instance, how Jason's music reflects his conscience about the world he perceives and has experienced. And what is it about that world for him that he's able to tap into emotion that his songs utilize to be written and able to be performed? So, Jason, how we like to start our show off is with the same question for everybody, and maybe it's the obvious one, but here it is. What is your creative superpower?
It would definitely be just self-expression through music. I think I use music as therapy, and I think it's something that's able to lift that dark veil that gets draped over us all sometimes.
Yeah, that dark veil. I mean, it has numerous shades of gray and dark, but nonetheless, it does blanket over us. And anytime we're able to have somebody that's able to musically, for example, utilize the superpower of self-expression and music as therapy to not only help himself, which is obviously you, the creator and the artist, but to help so many other people, to give them a new perspective and a new awareness about the parallels of their life that are similar to what you experienced, that you're able to just bring a fresh perspective to, that can be for them that aha moment in one of your songs where they realize, hey, I just, like, through Jason's song, I just had a breakthrough. And that's extraordinarily powerful, man. So that is a very cool gift to have, that kind of superpower for sure. Well, I want to ask you this, Jason. Why do you do what you do with your superpowers?
I don't. I guess the best way to answer that is because I don't. You know, it's kind of like you wake up one day and it's like, this is it. You know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I've never really questioned it, and it's always been good to me. So I mean, if it goes back to, you know, that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and it ain't broke. So I just keep doing what I do, and I love it. I love every second of it.
Well, and the love is very much apparent in your music. I mean, when I watched one of your videos, I mean, it was at the get-go, I just knew you're just somebody who does it, like mentioned in the intro today. There's something about your way as a person and the way you communicate through your music that is quite powerful, and it's very captivating, and it's something that everyone listening should definitely take a little bit of time to go and check out, and to follow up a little bit about how and who you are as an artist. And let me ask this, Jason, when you first realized that music was your call, and like music, like this is it, what was that experience like when you and music found each other? If you were able to describe what that was like when you realized that this is what you were going to be doing.
I think it's. I think when that happens with anybody, it's a very overwhelming feeling. But it's something that, you know, although it's that overwhelming in a good way, like you're hit with this amount of acceptance, like you just, you know, you stepped in a puddle that you want to keep stepping in for some reason, and you don't know. Like, it could be uncomfortable at first, but it's undeniably the path that you're supposed to take. And I think you just know and stuff. I mean, it's like when someone meets someone that they, you know, you're like, holy cow, I think I'm going to marry this person. It's not really a different feeling. Like, if you believe in stuff like that, it's something that finds you and anchors itself to your soul in a way.
Oh, I love that. That's a powerful anchors yourself to your soul. That's a perfect example of a prolific writer right there. That's just awesome stuff, man. Well, it's absolutely fantastic material already. We're going to jump into, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to just hear a little bit more about what Jason has to share with his story about music and how it is that it anchors he and his world to his own soul, and what it is that is created for contribution to the quality of his life and the quality for others' lives as well. So we're going to take that quick break, and we'll follow up with that on the other side.
Are you here to change the world? Do you talk about things like vibration, frequency, awakening, and consciousness? Are you pretty sure you have superpowers? The Superpower Net is unlike normal coaching programs and conscious communities. We provide training, intuitive guidance, peer-to-peer learning, intensive one-on-one coaching, and a high vibrational network of people just like you. When you join the net, you get 24/7 access to a collaborative group of people who support you as you master your personal power and unlock your superpowers. If you're ready to use your superpowers to change the world, then join the Superpower Net today. Visit superpowerexperts.com/thenet to learn more.
We're back. You're listening to Superpower Creatives, and today we're talking with Jason Parsons on our episode, Conscience Expressed in Music. So, Jason, I'd love to circle back to where we left off a little bit. You mentioned something about how music anchors you to your soul, and I wrote that down. That's just so powerful. If you could give us a little glimpse, I just want to kind of pry open that powerful bit of language and words there, and just see how you might be able to share what it's like to have something like music anchor you to your soul, and what that experience is like for you as an artist, that from when you started to where you are now, an artist who is continuing to evolve. How does that anchor keep you connected to your soul and your soul's work?
I think it's like any anchor, you know, it implies a heaviness, and it's kind of it's one of those things. It's if you go along the lines of it's a gift and a curse at the same time. Like I consider myself an empath in a lot of ways, which is good for writing.
Yeah, it
like
is.
I get to feel things that, you know, I didn't necessarily have to experience, but I'm able to, you know, empathize with that person. It comes across clearly to me. I can put it down on paper, and then someone hears it and they know they're not alone. It's one of those things. Like I think like, to go back to the anchor thing, like that's a heavy experience. And I think if I find a feeling that I can't get down into a song or onto paper at time, it remains with me. And, you know, the anchor gets a little bit heavier, but it's the cross we all bear. When you're given a gift, you accept it. You know, it's like you get a package, you sign for it, and it's yours. You know, whatever you choose to do with it from that point. I think the best way to handle it, I like it when people reach out to me and go like, hey, I'm thinking about you. And I think a song is the same way of doing that on a broader scale. Like you hear a song and it's like, hey, I'm thinking about you. You're not alone. We all go through this. You know, I want you to know that, you know, there's other people out there. I don't want you to think that you're, you know, a castaway, you know, because it's nice to know you're not alone sometimes.
Oh, it is too. And, well, it's so redeeming too when you can have those moments where you feel like you're not alone because someone has done something to help you to understand and to remember that you're not alone. And that's a redeeming quality, and for everybody who can experience it, giving it or receiving it. Absolutely. Well, speaking of kind of the heaviness and you know how the anchor can, you know, be something that sometimes does get heavy. What challenges have you experienced in your career, or what have maybe been even some milestones or a singular event that somehow directed or redirected your career as a musician?
I think it's constantly a roller coaster, to be honest with you. We have well, as is life in general, but
for sure.
It's the stuff that's really always affected me most has been mainly not even the stuff that's directly involved with music. Music has always been the thing that's always been there for me. It's always been my distraction. It's always been my passion. But you know, family life and stuff. I had a incident years ago, and there's a lot of songs on my record about it, but my mom just walked out on my dad. And you know, they'd been married like 48 years. So for you know, that was my definition of love. There's a lot of stuff that happens in life that you have no control over and that you can't really understand, but that derails me. A lot of the personal stuff, because I mean that's the thing too. It's like some people forget that, you know, if you're doing something or you're in a specific spotlight, they kind of don't ever think as you as people sometimes anymore. But everyone's people. I mean, we were all, you know, a person before anyone was considered an artist or anyone was you know, before you were interviewing people, we were just all people walking around, you know, wearing clothes and stuff, or not, whatever you choose to do. Nudists are cool too. I got no problem with that.
Absolutely.
But it's
absolutely.
Like, but you know, it's one of those things that life happens, and it's always been, and it always will be how you handle it. It's not what happens to you, it's how you handle it. And music for me has always been that thing that's helped me handle it. It's helped me work through it. And it's always nice, like we've been talking about, is when people can also connect with you too. Be like, hey, I've been through that too. Thank you for writing that song. I was like, man, it's, you know, it's nice to know that I wasn't just doing something for me.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those great things with music that you know, you write for yourself in the sense of there's a certain amount of satisfaction as an artist that comes when you're able to write and to really to communicate that feeling on paper or in front of people. What has been a time where someone, after a show or in an email or a fan page or someone shared with you about how your music affected them in a powerful way. Do you have any kind of stories or any sort of example or of something that stands out in your mind where somebody reached out to really let you know how powerful your music was in their life and how much it was a key part of them moving forward past something that was a hardship?
I have I'm lucky enough to say that I have a lot of examples like that, but a standout one for me would have been years upon years ago. I released a record. It was my first record, and there was a song on there when my mother and I were actually in good standing, and I wrote it for her, and it was called it was a Mother's Day gift to her at one time, and then I ended up recording it. It's called "Hide Her Angel Wings." Like, and the hook was I don't know how she does it, how she hides her angel wings. And there was a mother and son that used to come see me when we would travel around and play shows. And I didn't see him for a while, and I didn't know what happened. I assumed they moved out of state or something, or, life happens, like I said. But the kid found me years later, and he said he came up to me after a show, and he said, "I want you to know that my mother passed away. She got pretty aggressive cancer, and there was nothing we could do, and she passed away." And I'm figuring out I got an inheritance, and I'm traveling around. And he came up to me at a show, and he actually came and we were on a bus, and he knocked on the bus door, and I brought him on, and he said, "I want you to know that the last song that my mom listened to before she died was Hide Her Angel Wings." It made her calm down every time she heard it. It always just helped her not think about the cancer hurting her, and I thought that was I immediately started crying. I consider myself a sensitive person, but that would break anybody. I think it was a beautiful moment for me, and I think that was a standout moment for me. I was like, just keep doing what you're doing, man. No matter what you think or how you feel, some days, like you must be doing something right.
Wow. What a powerful testimony. That got goosebumps from that. Almost crying myself here. That's a really powerful story, and it's amazing it's amazing that something you've created would have such an importance, like the last minutes of someone's life, a mom, that was the song that she essentially transitioned out with, her kind of going out song, if you will, which is very moving to hear. It's very powerful to hear that. That's a powerful one. What is it with music that gets you excited and inspired? Who are some of your music heroes that you grew up listening to that have inspired or somehow helped you to develop your sound or your persona as your true self as an artist? Who are some of the heroes in your music past that have helped you to develop who you are as an artist?
Man, I always, growing up, the first voice that ever stood out to me, and my dad always loved him, and his older music. I loved Hank Williams Sr. Yes. He was always one of those guys who wrote, he always wrote from the heart, and you could tell, because if his heart was broken, he even sang it like it was still broken. Like it was, he's one of those guys, he just got it. He got what music was there for. And he was always like just the key figure in my mind. And when I started writing, I was listening to him a lot. But there's a lot of guys in some of the newer guys. I love a cat named Jason Isbell. He's an Americana.
Yeah, I've seen him perform. He's amazing.
Oh, he's so good. He's another guy that just gets it. He's emotionally perfect. His guitar playing is like, it sounds like it's crying on sad songs and screaming on rocking ones. Like, it's perfect.
It is.
I would connect with guys like that. He's such a poet too. He's a prolific writer. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, strong examples. Yeah, perhaps some others that are in that same ballpark.
Yeah. John Prine is another one I love. I mean, he's like music's grandpa in my opinion. That guy just writes. He writes goofy songs. Like he'll write the "Pull My Finger" of all songs, and then he'll write the one that rips your heart out. I love his delivery is great too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the three that are really, really key in my inspiration. Like I go to them when I'm having writer's block and stuff, and they always seem to pull me out.
Well, I mean, it's a testament to the power of their own sound and their own music to, be able to get through something like writer's block and to, have that bridge form, that proverbial bridge form that you need when the thoughts just aren't coming through the way that you ultimately want them to. Tell me something that you got going on right now, Jason. It's a current project or something going on in your music world as an artist that you're excited about.
Well, I just released the newest single off the record. It's called "Why Is the Bluebird Blue?" and we put out a music video for it.
I love that. That song is so good, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I love playing that song too. That's one of my all-time favorites that I've ever written, and it's so it's cool that it seemed like the ideal choice for the second single. But I went up to New York and recorded some vinyl. Did some live, just me and my guitar, and I have about 4 or 5 pieces of vinyl from that I'm about to do a special release and a very limited edition sale on that. I'm pretty stoked on that. It came out really cool. And it's one of those things they're all unique recordings. There's 4 or 5 pieces that have every recording has a unique message at the beginning of it, and it's very cool. So I'm excited to see how what people think of that. It was so fun to do. I'm a big vinyl junkie.
Yeah.
So it was a bucket list thing for me, for sure.
And that was up in New York City that you did those recordings?
Yeah. I went up to Brooklyn. Flew up there and hung out and did all the tourist stuff, and then played and then did that live vinyl thing. It was 2.5 days. What a whirlwind, but a beautiful place. We stayed in Brooklyn. It was beautiful. I loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's the palpable nature of that's the heartbeat. That is the NYC is. There's no other place like it anywhere. No doubt about that.
Oh yeah, it's got a very unique rhythm to it. Yeah, heck yeah.
Indeed it does, brother. Indeed it does. Well, speaking of traveling around, what is touring like for you? How do you enjoy the touring part of your profession?
Man, that's one of my favorite things. Songwriting, I love to write songs. Obviously, I love to play, but that there's a certain serotonin and adrenaline that just goes hand in hand with just loading up in a van or a bus or whatever you do. It's just me. I love meeting new people. I love connecting with new people. You can't beat it, and you honestly, that's what you need to do. We can't do this if there's not people listening. You know.
It's an important prerequisite.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to book a place if no one shows up.
That's right. Yeah, it's humbling when no one's there, but exhilarating when they are, which is what you're used to. And it sounds like that is the fuel, that is the adrenaline of tour and meeting the people and being able to share what they know and even new material and seeing how they respond to that. What is it that, as far as venue-wise, that you like to? Is there a particular type of venue that kind of just creates that has the energy that you like to perform in, or is it more about the way it's set up for acoustics? What type of venue do you typically enjoy more so than maybe some other ones?
That's a good question. I'd say if I'm doing a full band deal, I would say I really like the theater setup because it creates this environment that's very emotional, and this record is very emotional. So I kind of like that. It's got some of the songs almost have their storyline theatrical feel. You could act them out through interpretive dance if you tried hard enough. So it's that stuff works for me in that situation. But if it's just me and a guitar, man, I could, you could set me in the middle of like a dive bar in South Texas or something, because I want to talk to people. I want me and a microphone and a stool with some water on it, and then I want the crowd and I to be best friends by the time the show's over.
Yeah. Well, help myself and some of the listeners know what is it? What's because you obviously performed at a lot of venues in Texas. What is it like to travel and tour within the state of Texas and perform your music? Because Texas is its own unique place. And what is it like to have that, to have people know you the way they do in a place like Texas?
I think it's first off, it's everything to have the support of your home state.
Yeah.
Always. And, like just that hometown pride and stuff, but it's, I think there's something about, you can spend a full year out on the road in Texas if you're willing to work hard enough. And I think there's really nothing like it. Like living in Nashville, like you have in between shows, downtime, but it's just nonstop down there. And for some reason, like I need to make it back down there, and I'm working on that right now. But it's one of those things where you don't realize how nonstop you're going, and because it's like you're just doing it, and you could, because you can. Like there's so many little towns, there's so many little bars, there's so many big bars, there's so many like theaters, so many stages for so many artists, and it's perfect. And the camaraderie between the musicians down there, it's like you're all in some kind of fraternity or something, which is cool because, you pass each other at a truck stop, it's like, oh, hey, you want to stop at this Whataburger, meet up, catch up, Whataburger on me. Like, heck yeah, man, let's do it. Yeah. It's just a whole thing, man. It's great.
Do you run into the same people from your home state when you're not in Texas? You cross paths very often when you're out on the circuit outside of Texas. Is that something where your paths cross very often? Because Texas is so big, and so there's so many people that are able to to go to all those different venues. I'm just curious if you see them outside of Texas very often, and is it kind of the same? Hey, I'll catch you. Let's catch up over at Whataburger, except in in Tennessee or something like that.
Yeah, it is, and actually, I think it's always been it's always some like random surprising place or something. Like one time I was up in Montana, and I posted a picture on Instagram. My buddy goes, "Dude, are you in Bozeman, Montana?" And I'm like, "Yeah, where are you at?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm in Bozeman too." So like we went out for a burger and like got some beers, and it was like it's more fun, like because you're both out doing what you love, and you get to like meet up. Because there's some of us, like, we just never grow up. It's almost like this is our job, and like a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's not a job." I was like, "It is. We work very hard, but at the same time, we maintain this like kind of childlike excitement." And when you run into that, it's like 2 5-year-olds with Nerf swords just duking it out. You're like, "Man, what's going on?"
I love that. That's such a perfect portrayal, painting a picture of it. To really solidify for anybody listening. Well, this has just been awesome for me, and I know the listeners will feel the same. And before we close out the show, let's remind the listeners where they can go to find out more about you.
You can go to jeremyparsonsmusic.com, and it's everywhere. It's got links to my Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and got the merch store up there. You can order a CD, and I'm on iTunes and Spotify. There's also a link to that on that website. I just send everybody there because that's the home base, and you'll get the new updates. That will also be where I'll be posting about the limited edition vinyl very soon too. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be checking that out when that comes out, everybody. I'm going to be looking out for it myself, I can tell you for sure. So, well, thank you, Jason, for joining me and being here. It's a lot of fun to co-create with you in this space, for sure, man. And I just want to acknowledge, absolutely. I just want to acknowledge your powerful mind and your talented abilities as a music artist, and what it is you apply as an intention behind the powerful work your art represents. So thank you for being that for your fans, for yourself, for your family, and for the world, man. We love it.
Dude, hey, thank you for doing what you do too, man. We couldn't do this without different platforms and everything, and it's I appreciate the interest, and the respect is overly mutual.
Absolutely. Well, you are most welcome, and I want to, of course, thank the listeners as well. And until next time, be bold, stay true, and unveil your creative superpowers.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.
I get up and I show